Hello there, fellow travelers. Tim from Secret Fire Books here with my monthly reading report for the month of November 2024. And I won't lie to you, November was kind of a brutal reading month for me. Not because I read anything bad. In fact, the few books that I read in November were actually really, really good. But the problem is I did read very few books in November. I only read 3 books, and I started working on a fourth one that I'm still working through right now. But what I did read, most of what I read was actually really, really good in November. I read 2 books for the Elusive Exclusive Book Society. The first one was 9 Princes in Amber by Roger Zelazny, the first book in his Amber Chronicles series, and I really, really enjoyed this book. Like I said, we did an Eves review with Eric Wag as our special guest, and that video was, the opinions in that video were pretty split, but Jake and I really seemed to enjoy the book. Eric and Nick were a little more harsher on it. Nick especially did not like 9 Princes in Amber, which I understand. This is definitely, I can see this definitely being a kind of polarizing series. Very weird, very out there, not very straightforward. Roger Zelazny does not hold your hand going through this series. But I enjoyed this first book enough that I wanted to pick up the rest of the series. And I did. I did pick up the next 4 books in the series as soon as I had the chance. So I will be reading those at some point in the near future. And the next book that I read for Eves was the Texas-Israeli War, 1999, by Jake Saunders and Howard Waldrop. And this book was also really great. I did not expect much from this book, but it actually ended up being a really cool kind of future war story, sort of this alternate history, I guess. And it was a lot of fun, a lot of brutal tank action. And we also did a great Eves review on that. Our special guest was Joseph from Joseph Reads Books, and this time around it was unanimous. This was a great book. This might be one of the best books that we've reviewed on the show so far. So if you haven't seen either of those episodes, please check them out. They were a lot of fun. And the third book that I read in November was Star Trek II by James Blish. This is a collection of short stories that are based on episodes from Star Trek, the original series, written by James Blish, based on the various teleplays by the showrunners. And this was a lot of fun as well. I actually, every time I finished a short story in this collection, I actually went and watched the original episode from the TV series that it was based on. And that was really cool. I'll talk about that more when I make a video specifically dedicated to this book, but it was cool seeing how James Blish adapted those teleplays into a sort of short story format. I'd never read any of James Blish before. I might have 1 or 2 of his books in this collection. I'm not sure. But I've never read his stuff before. He's an okay writer. I thought he did a good job with these short story adaptations. But yeah, keep an eye out for that next Star Trek review coming sometime this month. Now, the 4th book I picked up in November and tried to read through, but failed utterly in doing so, was The Sword of Shannara by Terry Brooks. Now, I'm not going to lie to you guys. I'm only about 160 pages. Is that correct? Yes. 166 pages into this book. As you can see, the Rat Queen is keeping my page for me. Only 166 pages in, and it has been a slog so far. Just an absolute slog. I've been told multiple times that the Shannara series is very derivative of Lord of the Rings, and I suspected that was just in terms of certain characters and plot points. No, it's everything. It's the style in which this was written. It's the pacing. I get the feeling that Terry Brooks was trying to write something Tolkien-esque, but at least from my point of view, he is not pulling it off with this. Clearly, this book was popular at one point because there's an entire series that this spun off into. It's remembered fondly by many people, and so far, I'm kind of lost as to why. I am very uninterested in any of these characters. The plot really seems really cliche and hackneyed. Yeah, I'm not getting the appeal of Sword of Shannara so far. Maybe it picks up at some point, but as for what I've read, I've not been all that interested, and so it's been really kind of painful anytime I pick up this book. I'm kind of forcing myself to read it at this point, and I'm gonna start. I've done a little bit of this so far, but I'm gonna start doing this more. I want to read or listen to some of the audiobook. I have that available on Spotify, so I think that if I can't force myself to actually pick up the book and read it, I will listen to some of the chapters on audio, and I'll listen to that at 1.2, 1.5 speed, and maybe that'll help me get through the book a little faster. But yeah, maybe it picks up at some point in the middle or near the end. But so far, the story's just starting out, and it's pretty brutal. But as for what I'm reading in December, I'm actually pretty excited. There are a few things I have lined up that I'm really looking forward to. First of all, I'm going to keep the Star Trek train rolling with Star Trek VI by James Blish. I know I'm not reading them in order. I just have a few random James Blish books that I got off of eBay. They don't really need to be read in order, I don't think. They're all episodic, all based on the TV series episodes. So it doesn't really matter which order I read them in, I don't think. But they're going to be fun. That review should be the first one that I upload in the new year. So look forward to that. And next, for the Elusive Exclusive Book Society, we will be joined by Eric from the Paperback Warrior podcast on the 11th, so next Wednesday. Keep your eyes open for that. We will be reviewing the first book in the Ninja Master series, Vengeance is His, which is a series of sort of karate / ninja-themed men's adventure novels. And the last time we reviewed a men's adventure novel on Eves, that was Hawk the Virgin Stealers. And that discussion was a lot of fun, if nothing else. So it should be fun to hang out with Eric and talk about another men's adventure series. Should be pretty cool. And also, this month, I'm going to be teaming up with Ira from SF Words of Wonder to review Dragonflight by Anne McCaffrey. Ira has been trying to get around to the Dragon Riders of Pern novels for a while, and he recently emailed me and asked if I wanted to do a buddy read for the first book. And, of course, I said yes, because I've also had a copy of Dragonflight sitting on my shelf. I actually have a copy of the first 3 books in the Pern series sitting on my shelf for a while now. Haven't got around to reading those, so any excuse to read those I was going to take up. So sometime either next week or the week after, that should go up on Ira's channel. We haven't actually filmed anything yet, but I'm looking forward to it. Ira's a cool guy. Fun talking to him. I can't wait to see what he thinks of the Pern series. I can't wait to see what I think of the Pern series, actually. And then, of course, I'm going to keep struggling through Sword of Shannara. I will finish this book. I told myself I would. It's been on my reading list ever since I was a kid, and I never got around to it. So I will finish it. It's just, I feel like it's going to be a fight from beginning to end. Now, before I end the video, I do have a pretty big announcement. The first issue of my self-published e-zine, Necromancer, the genre fiction zine, just went up on Amazon and Kindle for pre-order. This is a project that I've been working on lately. It's something that I'm really excited about. It is a short little e-zine that I've created that is sort of an outlet for some of my short stories that I haven't published yet, as well as a way for me to kind of write articles and ramble about different genre-related things that aren't exactly booktube related. I try to keep most of the stuff here on YouTube centered squarely on books, but this way I can write articles and reviews about movies and video games and anime and all that other kind of stuff that isn't necessarily book-related. I'm looking to do this bi-monthly, put out a new issue of the zine every 2 months, so look forward to a new issue every 2 months containing short stories of my own, as well as some articles and editorials and some book reviews. This first issue contains 2 short stories that I wrote, as well as a movie review / editorial, and a handful of vintage paperback reviews and recommendations. And so, yeah, I'm really excited about this. Like I said, I'm going to try to do it every 2 months, and it'll be a nice little way to share my short stories and also make for discussion about books, movies, video games, and all that other kind of genre fiction goodness. The ebook goes live on Thursday the 5th, but you can pre-order it now. So go ahead and follow the link in the description if you want to pre-order your digital copy today. But that's all for now, guys. Let me know, as always, in the comments, what did you think? Have you read any of these books? What were your opinions on them? And until next time, as always, farewell and keep reading.